Right.
We're thinking Thursday.
What you guys gonna do this?
Ruthie had coffee with her Sunday morning. Oh, yeah. That's exactly what we said.
I haven't been down in 3 years. I'm
Yeah.
settling. Hopefully they're gonna be on par.
Or the regular common council meeting, Monday, February 3rd, 7 p.m. Roll call.
Preble,
Here.
Grisanti,
Here.
Andy Davis,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Paul Davis,
Yeah.
Burdick,
And pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next one, open meeting over.
Meeting notice was posted on Friday, January 31st at the library, the post office, city hall, and the website.
All the acceptance agenda.
Make a motion to accept.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to accept the agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Personal appearances for non-agenda items. Anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on anything that's not on the agenda? Okay. Then we'll move on to the presentation of energy investment grade audit by Upper 90.
All right.
All right.
Our consultants are here.
I didn't know if you wanted to say anything,
Yes.
Ramona, just from introduction standpoint,
Certainly.
but
So, you may recall, we received a grant from the PSC's Office for Energy Innovation to do, investment grade audits, which is basically a detailed analysis of many of the facilities and operations of the city in order to determine if there are opportunities for us to modify things or purchase equipment to make our lower operating costs, lower our energy consumption. So what percent of the project are we through, you think?
I would say from an investment grade audit standpoint, this is a opportunity for, I guess, feedback and whatnot. Then we would go to the, I guess, completion of the engineering on any of the measures as that process would go, but well over halfway.
So yes, they toured and met with staff, seen all the buildings, so hopefully some interesting things this evening that they found so far that we can hear the comments, and then I think probably most of these things will end up at a public works committee where we can kind of roll up our sleeves and determine which can't get the monitor to work. I'm really sorry.
Or here. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, well, it's not really, but I don't know what to do about it, so.
I have no problem. I can do it.
Yeah, less than ideal, sorry.
Thank you, Ramona. Good evening, everyone. Sorry that my back will be to you guys just for this thing. So, but my name is Mario Melanzi. I'm with Upper 90. This is my colleague, Adam Prohaska, and we're here tonight, just like Ramona said, to just share the results of the findings from this grant. I've prepared about a 15-20 minute presentation for you, but please stop me. I don't have a section at the end for questions, so please stop me if you do have any questions along the way. So I don't know if it's I've shared this with Ramona, a quick little PDF of this. There's nothing like animated or whatnot, but if you want to just drive the ship, that would be totally fine. This slide is just a little introduction of our company. Like I mentioned, our firm's name Upper 90. We're a small independent firm based in Sun Prairie. I started the firm in 2016. We work primarily with public sector clients due to a couple of reasons, but mainly around procurement and just a process around that. Done a few commercial private projects, but not many. We basically do planning, construction, and design around the energy efficiency space and all things facility improvements. This is a photo of our team members. I would say our team members are, we think of them as like subject matter experts in their area of expertise. So Adam is a project engineer. We've got a mechanical engineer on staff, a project manager, a couple of other salespeople, some operations person, and like an office staff gal. So kind of a nice little team here. I show a map of the state of Wisconsin, some of the places that we've been. We've done work in a bunch of different verticals. Another one that we do a lot of work in is in the K-12 space. Just wanted to share a little bit of some recent projects in the municipal market. We do work in the municipal market as well. Recently done a project over in the city of Sun Prairie, a lighting upgrade, as well as some lighting controls and a full ceiling replacement in their city hall. We worked with Ramona late last year to be the designer for your current solar projects. So that was good. We're also working on this grant, the same grant process with a few other entities, the city of Evansville and Barron County. We are not as far along in their process as yours, so kudos to Ramona for being so diligent on like I call it just the red tape with a lot of these grants things, right? So it's, there's always things to kind of go through that way. So we've got an Illinois team. They're also working down in Tinley Park. And a few years ago, we did a solar design project for the city of Wauwatosa. Just a little bit of background of what led us here. Ramona kind of mentioned some of that, but in 2022, just as a refresher, the city joined up with two other cities, Evansville and Milton, and went after a planning-only grant. So they were awarded that grant. Slipstream was the firm to fulfill, those obligations. And so we had a chance to, review that report. And we were working with Ramona around the solar work, and this grant became available. This is the first year that this grant became available, and we thought it was a good opportunity to more or less cover the costs associated with our team to perform this level of an audit. Great way to do that. I think you've done enough of the planning. I list up here activity number 3. There were 2 other activities as part of this grant. One was for planning and one was for renewables, which you checked both of those boxes previously. So I thought that, this was the next logical step. So this grant was awarded in March of 24, and we've been sort of going through there's a whole nother process from the PSC in terms of getting things going. Wanted to just mention a little bit about how we fund projects. So the way we go to market is a little bit unique. It's not just straight budgetary like maintenance projects like you think of a mechanical contractor. When things aren't breaking, you call someone up, they come fix it. We work in a space called performance-based contracting, and what that really means is it's an agreement where the agreement is based on the results of that work. So there's a performance guarantee that is tied to that. And so we act as the prime contractor. Like I said, we're a professional services firm, but we work in a design build capacity where we are the sole source provider, and both the design of those projects and the construction is all under one roof and under our risk with a guaranteed maximum price to our client. So you're not playing this change order game. It's just the nature of how design build works compared to your traditional construction process. The theory of performance contracting is fairly simple. We're looking to be able to implement these projects with no new dollars to an organization. So I like to say all these things that we're going to show you tonight, you can already afford it based on your existing mode of operations, both on your the monies that you're already paying for utilities and the monies that you would presumably either be spending in operations or saving, for a future larger capital expenditure. Okay. So the premise is through your budgetary process, if you were to lower those expenses, you'd basically be maintaining that same budget level amount to repay wherever you got that new money from. That makes sense. So you'd say, hey, I want to do projects 1, 2, and 3. You'd go out and source those new dollars. And then the way you'd repay that debt, let's call it, for lack of a better word, is through the reduction of utility and operating expenses. The key is you need to maintain those in your budget so you actually have enough dollars to be able to repay that. So fairly simple concept. This is just some, boilerplate language about how that works. The other thing too, Ramona, I'll be happy to share this, I don't know if you have already, but with the council members so that they can have this afterwards. To just keep going, sharing a little bit about our process, quick 4 easy steps. The first part is data collection, and that's really where we had gotten started. This is probably that first 50% of the investment grade audit itself. 4 simple tasks: site visits by subject matter experts like Adam. He certainly doesn't do it alone. He's got a whole, slew of other subject matter experts in their fields, both other professional consultants and contractors and everybody in between. What Adam's team is going to do is study your utility data, study your operational data, try to set some benchmarks, try to understand what you're doing today, and that if you were to make an adjustment to that, what that adjustment would be. From there, he's gonna say, hey, like Ramona said, I walked through all your buildings. We got a feel for your operations and infrastructure that you have, and we're gonna start making those, we're gonna start identifying what those are and making those recommendations as like an improvement. We can't just, this isn't a planning thing where we're just like, oh, well, maybe you could do that. And, one of the things we noticed was in the report is to like purchase Energy Star appliances as an example. Great idea, not something we're gonna be putting in our report and kind of a it's not really a project that goes with those, so. That's it for this one. So I wanted to just set the stage a little bit about some of the stuff we knew, some of the things that we knew going into this audit. In 2009, the city made a resolution to reduce the city's carbon footprint by 25% by 2025. So that's here. I'd be curious to see how you did in that. Just working with Ramona, I'd venture to say that probably blew right by that goal, but and then in 2023, again, we reviewed that municipal energy plan. I've got a slide after this one here to just show you a little bit about what we learned there. And then even in November, before we could kind of really get started, we just did a little workshop meeting with Ramona just to kind of get the lay of the land. I think we met with the police department at the time, and we're just kind of planting the seed a little bit about the work that we would be doing over the next couple months. The next, after the data collection part, is what we're here to talk about tonight, is really the meat and potatoes, the recommendations. What are they? We're going to walk through those. This is the whole opportunity, as much as you'd like to, ask questions, solicit feedback. Adam is here to, answer the technical questions as well. And our next step would be fully going through what not the scopes, the budgets and savings potentials for those would be the next time we get together. We would go through that. This is an excerpt from the Slipstream municipal energy plan that they put together. And what I really wanted to note on this slide was that, while the planning grant was wonderful, those folks were able to just look at two of the city's facilities, the library and the Public Works building. So they made some good recommendations in 3 categories of high priority, medium priority, and end of life. And we have incorporated those recommendations, if you will, into some of the findings that we had. I think they give some of the budgets and things like that too, but I just wanted to note that while they looked at those, we'd like to think we took a little more of a comprehensive look even in those 2 buildings. And then obviously, more than just those 2 as well. So I'm going to just introduce these 2 main categories, and I'm going to be quiet for just a couple of minutes, and Adam's going to walk through a couple of the things that we found. But we split the things we saw into 2 main categories, things that are from your buildings and things that are from your infrastructure. And there were a couple of themes with each of those categories. From your buildings, we noticed the 2 main themes were some, what I would consider, corrections to the construction process. There's so much that goes into how a building is built and that we don't need to get into today, but as we noticed in doing our audit, we saw a few things that just didn't look quite right from the construction process. And so it would be good to make those corrections. And then the second was the thermal efficiency. We're looking to really tighten up your building and keep the air that you're paying to heat or air condition in, and the outside air that's either too hot or too cold out. So that's basically the main theme there. And then, sorry, just one last thing to say about the buildings. With the construction piece, it could also, some of the other things we noticed was usage in some of the spaces may have changed. So the building just doesn't meet what's being done in that space at the time. Whoever decided to make that change, would have also wanted to do X, Y, Z if that's going to be happening in that space. So many times that, assuming, you don't have specialized custom spaces for everything. So you got to kind of use what you got. A classic case there. Under the infrastructure, two main themes that we noticed was, Ramona and team are doing really good things. We noticed that just the improvements that are out there, it looked to be like, that they were just limited due to budget, like a couple of things have been done. And then like the only reason you didn't go further was just because there was probably no money left to do that. Which is, again, very normal. And then what we're proposing here on this infrastructure stuff is essentially a finance model, a procurement vehicle, as opposed to the way you guys normally do procurement, to implement these kinds of things at scale. And we'll talk about the pros and cons to those things and how the math works in terms of, if we do it all now, how much does it cost us in interest? What are the economies of scale? What would we save versus doing it over time? All those factors play into, whether these are good investments or not.
Okay, so yeah, as Mario was mentioning, I'm gonna talk about some specific things that we found. You guys have any questions before I start, just what Mario said? Just to start on the building specific side, our destratification fans, so specific to the public works building. The maintenance area has a higher ceiling and the heater is high up next to the ceiling, so heat rises. And these fans that we're proposing, they blow a column of air straight down just to mix up the air better, so the heat mixes the space better, and that you would use the heater less, with the air mixing better. So you can kind of see the picture of the column of air, kind of shooting straight down, compared to like a blade style fan. It kind of just mixes and kind of doesn't get to the bottom of the garage.
Oh, sorry. Distracted.
So yeah, that's a picture of the heater, the public works and the water utility building. And this next slide is specific to the building envelope, so kind of like the building shell, the thermal efficiency as Mario was talking about. So making sure that there's not cracks and gaps where air can get in and out. So you can see in the above picture that the garage doors are open airs. You can see the light air is coming through. So if there's 20 of those garage doors and there's a little crack in each one, you add it up, that gap for each one is like leaving a door open, all winter, all year. So there's easy ways to kind of fix that and mitigate the air getting in and out. So we've found these types of things in each building. Obviously the garage doors is an easy thing to see, but in the bottom picture where the roof meets the wall, there's just kind of cracks and gaps that are harder to see, that we can spray foam and insulate better to improve the air efficiency. This second slide is just specific to the library. So yeah, just with the construction, there's just interesting things of just given the age that we saw in the building. This next slide is the HVAC, so the mechanical systems in each building. So there's a little blurb about each of the buildings. I think the main one is probably the library. It has a large like commercial boiler that's age is 2005. So we usually see the useful life of a boiler of that size be around 20 years. So it's just something to bring up of that kind of coming offline and replacing. There's also to pump the hot water through the library. The pumps are either completely on or off, and we can add something called a variable frequency drive to vary the speed, so it's not either 100% on or. So that's another way we can gain efficiency. The other things we have found, maybe not exactly energy efficiency improvements, but adding exhaust fan in certain areas, maybe for code requirements or even like comfortability. Something we saw in the police station, like in their locker room area, shower area, it doesn't have any exhaust fan. It doesn't have any air moving throughout the space. So as Mario mentioned, like when the building was constructed, it might not have been used as that, but as it's changed and improved, as the building's uses has changed, there's things that you might want to add at the Public Works upstairs, there's like a paint room that just has a bunch of paint and chemicals and it doesn't have exhaust, so it might be a good idea to pump that air out of the space just to bring fresh air in. So those are the building specific. Any questions? I kind of ran through those pretty quick, no? So the next things are specific to the infrastructure, so kind of citywide. The first thing we looked at is the manholes. So you can see the graphic of like a general manhole. With time, there's a bunch of ways that it can crack and age and shift, and water can get in to the sewer system and causes you guys to treat more water than is actually needed. So there's a thing that we can do. We can there's coating in different ways that we can prevent, seal up those manholes and really save you guys the cost that it takes to treat all that extra water that you guys are doing right now.
And we're talking a lot of water when you add it up, through the whole city kind of a thing. And some are in locations, we did a little cross section of the city to make sure we kind of, as we were studying it, one from over here on this side of town, one from that side of town. And I'm sure things change, the wastewater plant, when there's a big rainfall as an example. But this is a really great measure, I think, in terms of prolonging the life of the existing manholes out there, looking to stretch that budget in terms of, replacing them. And then the whole, I&I component of water. It's a really, really good, I guess, infrastructure. I feel like it saves on all fronts in terms of your future capital budget as well as existing operation.
And Mara, do we have pictures of what our current manholes look like some of the stuff you're seeing? You guys have any?
We do.
Yeah, we do have some specific
Okay.
pictures and
Are you able to share that with us?
yeah, we can. And Zach, shout out to Zach. He was on site with us a few times showing us like some of the, probably his concerned, certain manholes and things. So yeah, we do have pictures we can include.
This is just a photo of let's call it the correction, right? And I know that one up there was a diagram, but you can see here that it's really for lack of a better word, a polymer spray type solution where that's being lowered into that manhole and sprayed sometimes up to 6 inches thick along the inside of that, really prolonging the life of that. I think the fine print there says it's a 10-year limited warranty on that product. So this is being done all over the country, definitely in places all around Wisconsin. I would say it's newer, around maybe the last, 5 to 10 years or so, something like that. But, we think of it as doing things like this at scale where it becomes a numbers game, like a little bit of what I alluded to earlier, where there are ones that will be so bad that a solution like this is not feasible. And there will be ones that are so good that a solution like this doesn't really help, doesn't, need it, if you will. So, we took a cross section to come up with some of the budgets and figures that we'll share next time. If the city said, yes, we are very interested in this, we would continue that due diligence in terms of, for example, in order to estimate some of the savings, trying to figure out, and this was provided to us by the wastewater plant, is how much does it take to put 1,000 gallons through a K-gal through that, through that system. So they do the trick, and we can figure out based on this many manholes, this much I&I, here's how much we think is extra, multiplied by that cost to treat that water, and it's significant. So we're excited to kind of dig a little bit further into this one.
We have 223 men.
Those are just, I think those might be just the ones that were scheduled to do. I think you have like more.
That's not all of them. I think it's the majority of them, but there's still out there, yeah.
I don't know what I thought, but that's a lot more.
Yeah.
I'm like you too, yeah.
For sure.
It's a
For
big
sure.
town again. Big
Right.
city, big
Well, and
city.
I think it, it's good to say too, like, I think, might go without saying, like, when you replace one of these, it's not like you're like, oh, well, whoop, in and out. Presume, I don't know how much you're tearing up the street in certain ones of these, or maybe you do with projects or whatnot, but if that's the case, you're only doing the ones that are, for lack of a better word, convenient and sort of multifaceted, where you're getting you're already tearing it up, so you might as well do it. That's a completely different reason than to limit the I&I, from a savings perspective. So continue it, sorry.
Okay, so the next thing we looked at is water meters. So a couple of reasons to replace water meters. I think like the physical meter itself is after, after a certain time it ages and it becomes less accurate. So you could potentially, you're missing out on, revenue you could be billing for, but the meter is old and it's not reading correctly. The second thing that we advocate for replacing meters is the technology, so they become easier to read. You can just drive down the street and they can wirelessly read the usage. So we took a shout out to, I think Tom and Wendy helped us put together like a graph and table of all the meters in the city. There's a bunch of information on age, sizes, and the graph below shows the blue to the left shows how many meters are 5 years and earlier by age, and in the green are kind of the aged meters, 6 years and older. So they all, the oldest ones are 40 years old in the city. So there's a couple different, there's a retrofit, so the newer ones we would just retrofit to that new technology like the wireless reading and such. But the green, we would recommend, replacing that meter itself to prevent, kind of that missed, the potential missed billing to make it more accurate.
Or how would
Yeah,
are those holdouts there? Because I feel like, didn't we just go through?
we've talked about this, haven't we?
Utility commission, we talked about it at the next meeting.
Okay,
So we've replaced, we have a meter replacement program and we've been trying to increase the number, but I think
That's right.
the utility commission will talk about a much more comprehensive program, so I'm assuming we'll do this.
Which is a standard mode. It's all just
Yep.
based on budget, right, of what you can get to. So that's why I was overemphasizing that point of, and again, I'll just speak to the contractual method, a performance-based contract just allows you to say to yourself, in that example, we would be able to contractually, speak to a revenue projection for doing that and be held accountable or responsible for that, if you will. Thank you, Adam. So this is just a quick summary. Again, we just kind of went through these three main improvements for the buildings and two main improvements for the infrastructure. From a next step standpoint, we're looking for some owner input. So like Ramona mentioned, some type of, let's call it a workshop or whatever, at an upcoming committee or commission meeting, where we have budgets for each of these measures in the buildings that Anna mentioned. And then I also thought we could just, at least I'll be working on it with Ramona, is the whole idea of if this does go anywhere with the city, of how do you guys purchase it?
So just so I'm clear, the next step is, I'm looking at ROI.
You bet.
You will come back and you will tell us that we think it'll cost X amount of dollars for you to do. We think you're going to save either X amount of dollars, X amount of gallons of water,
Yep.
all that.
Yep.
So we will have those numbers to help make that kind of.
Absolutely, yep. It's about 20 line items or so, and I've already been talking for almost 30 minutes. And if I gave you that sheet with all those line items, we'd be here for a little while longer. And I just think it's a lot of information to digest in one time. So this is a standard process that we go through with all of our clients.
How long do you think until you are coming back with that?
It's up to Ramona. We have the information that we need. And so I guess just a scheduling thing and making sure that, I think she said they meet not regularly.
Public Works Committee, that the utility commission meets regularly, Public
Okay.
Works is on as needed, so
Okay.
after this presentation, we'll be talking to the chair of that committee, and see if we need something scheduled.
That sounds great. We're looking forward to seeing both of those groups. Then we presumably come back here after those and see what we found. Any other questions?
Out of curiosity, how much is it for the manhole, to spray that stuff around the manhole? How much is that?
Per manhole, the variables are around, I would say even like depth and even just like how bad it is. If the worse it is, the more that it is.
Yeah, I think it could be like from 5,000 to 15,000,
Okay.
depends on
Something
the
in that
size.
range.
I was more or less, is it hundreds of dollars or?
No, it's
Thousands of dollars.
And really the premise is around the differences in the value is in evaluating whether or not a replacement strategy makes more sense in that instance. And so again, it's just trying to carry that further using your existing means to say, maybe we don't have to appropriate this budget amount for the next 15 years to finally get this stuff done. You know, that's the point, if you will, so. Great,
Thank you. Anybody else? Well, thank you.
thank you, thanks for having us
Thank you, guys.
tonight.
Very informative.
Let's move on to the minutes from January 20th.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the January 20
Thanks.
minutes. Any corrections or additions? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The reports, Tim.
Finance, met this, evening at 6:45. I'll make a motion to approve bills and payroll in the amount of $453,488.78.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to pay the bills. Any questions on the bills? Hearing none, roll call.
Shaw,
Yes.
Andy Davis,
Yes.
Grisanti,
Yes.
Kribel,
Yes.
Paul Davis.
Yes.
Burdick.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Make a motion to declare the leaf vacuum surplus and set the minimum bid to $200.
Second.
Motion to declare lead vacuum surplus. And second, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Shaw,
Yes.
Andy Davis,
Yes.
Grisanti,
Yes.
Kribel,
Yes.
Paul Davis.
Yes.
Burdick.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Make a motion to approve City of Edgerton Resolution 02-25, intention to join the statewide public safety interoperable communication system for the City of Edgerton.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to approve city veteran resolution 02-25. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Shaw,
Yes.
Kribel,
Yes.
Grisanti,
Yes.
Candy Davis.
Yes.
Paul Davis.
Yes.
Burdick.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Make a motion to approve City of Edgerton Resolution 03-25, resolution authorizing the 2024 property tax equivalent charge to the water utility.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to approve city veteran resolution 03-25. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Shaw,
Yes.
Kribel,
Yes.
Grisanti,
Yes.
Candy Davis.
Yes.
Paul Davis.
Yes.
Burdick.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Make a motion to approve City of Edgerton Resolution 04-25, resolution approving budget transfers and amendments for the year ending December 31st, 2024.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to approve city veteran resolution 04-25. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Shaw,
Yes.
Kribel,
Yes.
Grisanti,
Yes.
Candy Davis.
Yes.
Paul Davis.
Yes.
Burdick.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And then I'll make a motion to approve City of Edgerton Resolution 05-25, resolution approving the assigned fund balance for the year ending December 31st, 2024, with one update. And that update is we missed adding $20,000, the grant for the sensory room at the library. So we want to include that onto this motion, which brings the total general fund assignment to $1,369,420.
I'll second.
Motion and second to approve city veteran resolution 05-25 as amended. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Shaw,
Yes.
Kribel,
Yes.
Grisanti,
Yes.
Candy Davis.
Yes.
Paul Davis.
Yes.
Burdick.
Yes.
Motion passes.
That's everything from finance.
Thank you. Fire district?
Yeah, chief is here. You wanna go first? Check out.
Board has a copy of the report. Anybody else want to certainly give it to you? I'll kind of hit the top of the waves. January 2025 over January 2024, 38% increase in call volumes. So the trends that we've seen throughout 2024 are really starting now to even intensify. And we've had over 20 calls in the last 2 days. So I'd love to tell you what it is, other than cold, right? I mean, I think all of us can understand what we went through weather-wise. But Lot going on. City of Edgerton, I highlight that for you. I apologize, I didn't do that today. You're just slightly over 5 minutes. During the course of January, there was at least 2 calls where additional units had to come from the east side to cover because we had 2 or 3 calls already going in Edgerton, so we needed a 3rd or a 4th unit from the east. Let's hope that trend kind of goes away. The thing that, and we'll get to it on the numbers, we don't have the final numbers for January yet, but this is the first year in about the last 5. We know what we're going into. And the support that we got from the western municipalities, 100% of these calls that we've been dealing with have been dealt with Lakeside Resources. So it's not 17 minutes from another city or anything like that. So it's a way of saying thank you. We know the call volumes are going to continue. But we are dealing with it, and I think there's a huge thank you to the municipalities for keeping us ahead of the curve instead of looking at it in the rearview. Oh, boy. Personnel, we're doing extremely well. We have the 3 additional positions for 2025. They were budgeted as if we started them on June 1st or, middle of the year. What we're actually looking at is trying to stretch that out. We're going to try to get 1 position on very early, and then another one in the middle, and then eventually the 3rd one later on in the year. And we're going to watch how the finances work. We're doing well. So if we can pull any of those up a little bit so we get that additional staff in the station, we will do that. But we got 12 applications within the first 48 hours when we posted, which I do think is a nice compliment, because we've got people from other departments that are now applying here.
And why is that, chief? What do you, that, other than we're great, but.
Well, I'll just build off of that. I think people see what we're doing to try to get ahead of the curve and not be behind the curve the way a lot of municipalities are right now. And they see that, and that just makes a better place to go to work. So again, it's a compliment back to our municipalities and the support we've been getting. They also know, we've got 6 more positions we'll be hiring in the east, right? So they see the growth potential. We'll eventually get to lieutenants. We'll add additional, right? I mean, when you get bigger, you have to add all that kind of stuff. So I think people are seeing where we're going, and they apparently like it, right? Because we're getting some interest. So that's all a good thing. Pregnancies continue. We got Haley back. We lost Colton. But good news is Haley's got a brand new baby boy that's doing really, really well. And Colton and his wife just had, his wife and Colton, I guess would be the right way to say that, just gave birth to a baby boy yesterday, which is really cool. So we're really proud of those guys. Finances, it's all blank. It's simply because we don't have the numbers down here yet. But I mean, we actually do every week a look at where we are against trends. We're doing very well. So that nothing there that concerns us. Significant events, these are all weather related. We had 1 garage fire, 1 small building, small barn fire, and then 1 outbuilding fire. They were all attempts at heating that probably shouldn't have been attempted. Let's just put it that way. On the equipment side, the engine that was struck out on the interstate, the estimates are just slightly over $100,000 to fix that engine. And again, I kind of forget who I say this to, so if I repeat myself, I apologize. Not fixing it is not an option, because if the insurance company was to total it out, it is 3 years to get a new engine. And the good news is the insurance company understood that. They are covering the repair of it and get it back online here relatively quick. A lot of good discussions have developed with the Department of Transportation about the dangers out on the interstate with the speeds that we're dealing with. The week that our engine was hit, There was another engine and another ambulance hit elsewhere in the state, all in the same week. Because of our relationship with DOT, we've had some really interesting discussions. And we're asking them to look for some special grant funding, to look for specialized vehicles. They're basically called attenuator trucks. A lot of highway departments have them. I'd much rather have something like that get struck at 70 miles an hour than a $500,000 fire truck. However, right, DOT, you gotta help us with this, and they are seriously looking at how to maybe help us with it in a way that we can then do something that would be a model that might be used elsewhere in the state. So out of a bad situation, there's some good conversations that are coming out of it. The ladder truck, did we cover that last month or is that new? Ladder truck, it has been sold for scrap. It was not certifiable. The DOT would not let it back on the highway, even if we fixed it. So it has been disposed of. So if you walk in the station, you can actually walk in the station, which is kind of interesting.
Having said that, we do have access to
Oh,
ladder truck on the
Yes.
other side.
the east ladder truck, that's got about another 10 years of life on it. And then the plan is, of course, to protect the insurance rating for the western division. Once we have Newville online, that truck comes to the middle, and so both east and west can use it to protect your insurance ratings. And we're not expected to get audited in the next 2 to 3 years. We just went through an ISO audit. So hopefully by the time the ISO comes along, the next time to audit us, there'll be a truck right square in the middle. Yeah, that's kind of the rules.
Good, the only thing I'll add is we have a special board meeting this Thursday, the 6th at 5 p.m. Chief is gonna have a presentation by the building committee on the status of the fire station project. And then the board is gonna have discussion and possible recommendations about the fire station project. So if anybody's interested in knowing the project, the status, the future, if you have any questions, concerns, whatever, that'll be a good meeting to go to. So again, it'll be discussion about,
Where's that at?
it's at headquarters.
Okay.
The old White Hawk building. So 5 o'clock on Thursday, I would encourage anybody that's interested to visit that.
And I appreciate getting a chance to see the presentation that was made to you, because everything they're recommending you do with some of the existing buildings are in the designs on the new building. So, but that was kind of cool.
Hey, Chief, when, being up 38%.
Yep.
So that's incidents.
That is 911 incidents.
So if we get a 911 call, that's an incident.
Yeah.
Just a single instance. If we send fire, ambulance, that's still just counted as
Just
one.
counts as one incident there. I am aware of another department that likes to pad its statistics by counting every unit that goes out the door. We don't.
That's
play
not
those-
this.
We don't
This is
play those
true.
games.
Thank you.
Yep.
You know, the other thing I thought of when I was looking at these, we've had a very mild winter. Meaning the interstate.
We have not had the crash related, yes,
Yeah,
but
So-
we've had the deep cold related,
okay,
which it causes other problems than crashes.
yeah, and I just wonder if maybe the numbers would be even higher, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because there's inevitably on the interstate with
Yes,
bad roads, right?
yes.
That's the thought.
So, yeah.
I got a question. So 38%, I may have a bad memory here, but how many below normal cold days have there been? Because to me, yeah, there was a short snap. But I think for the most part, we've been above average almost every day since December 1st, except for a brief period where we were.
Yep.
So there's gotta be more than 38% than that, since we've had almost no snowfall.
And I appreciate the comment, right? It's just a little bit like hitting the top of the waves. You never
Yeah.
get deep enough to really answer the question. I'll break that into two. The cold weather snap is related to the fires. Those three structure fires are absolutely related to the cold weather and things that people probably shouldn't have done. The overall issue is EMS. And if I had to pick a single cause behind it, it is the aging of the population. The number of calls we're going to, falls, just everything that comes along with aging, is the biggest driver. And I don't know, like, hopefully Chief Kowalski, from a drug-related issue, which of course was really, hit us really hard during the COVID arena and post. I'm always afraid to say the word stabilized, but we're not seeing any kind of increases there. It's still there, it's not going away, but certainly the aging of the population, is affecting us big time.
Okay, I guess I hadn't really thought about a big connection between cold and 911 calls.
Fires.
You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, I could see snow with slipping on ice and accidents and stuff, but it's interesting that cold actually played a pretty good role too.
So 2 out of those 3 that are listed there were agriculturally oriented farms. And farmers will do things for livestock and animals, especially hatcheries and things like that. I would love to tell them to go out and buy UL approved heating devices with proper protection and all that kind of stuff. A couple of them may not have done that.
Interesting, thank you.
I just want to ask, I'm looking at the EMS cost recovery, the total percent doesn't seem like it's ever changed, 23%. But it looks like a little Medicare went up and insurance went down or something. Is that just a?
So, good perspective, Jim. Medicare did approve an increase from 24 to 25 on cost recovery. So now, and again, instead of 21%, we're getting 24%, right? It's not like we've solved the problem, but Medicare did approve a cost recovery increase. So it's gonna shift the bubble, right?
I'm totally decreasing. I hope not.
There is an awareness
Yeah.
that the EMS in this country is in crisis. I can't see them going the other way. It's just, we can't get them to go this way fast enough.
Right.
Yeah, it's an interesting perspective, Jim, you're right.
Appreciate the questions, maybe a little more than what's on the agenda, so.
It just seems like it's beyond the previous meeting discussion, so I just wanna make sure that we keep it tight to what, it's all good stuff and stuff that we all wanna know, but.
Okay, that's it for fire district.
All right, thank you.
There you go, you're welcome.
Whole parks.
Yeah, that's me again. Parks met on Wednesday, January 22nd. And the committee had approved, and you saw their bills and payroll list, purchasing a pickleball net for the inside the Tri-County Community Center. So they had one, there was a request for a second one. And so they asked us if the city would be interested in purchasing, paying for it. And so we took it to the Parks Committee and they said yes. Both of the nets are being used, like 3 days a week, I think they have it in the mornings. They have 20-some players, so they were extremely appreciative of it, and we spent. We reimbursed them for $807.99, very appreciative. We are going to be moving, there's a storage shed out at Racetrack Park that the soccer organization used to use. And they're building a new one at their own expense. And they have given us the old one if we wanted it, well, we asked for it and they said yes. So we will be moving that, hopefully soon, but I know Zach is working to make sure that when we move it, that it doesn't fall apart. It's not in the best shape. What we want, the thought is, we're gonna have that shed moved to Central Park. And the, parking lot of the pool will lose 2 parking spots there. But we're gonna place it there because that's what and then I think Jim Capel and others, we're gonna build shelves in it. And that's where we're gonna house the lights from lights at Central Park. So, which will make it so much easier when we're putting up lights and taking down lights. And it'll go right in the shed right there. So we're really excited about that. So Parks Committee approved that. And we also gave an update to the committee that the original location that we were talking about for a skate park, which was, at Central or at Racetrack Park by the railroad tracks, is not doable for the railroad. So we're gonna have to start looking for a different place, so. That's it for parks.
Okay, thank you. Redevelopment Authority, we met a little bit earlier tonight. Got a couple items here we have to do. I could read them all.
Yeah, okay.
We have consider an application for backdoor improvement grant for Tri-County Community Center at 112 North Swift Street to replace 4 windows. And the pressure wash did not get completed for a $5,000 grant. Let me get a motion.
Oh.
You don't have to read it all again.
Yeah, no, I make a motion that we give that $5,000 grant for the backdoor improvement to Tri-County Community Center.
I'll second.
Motion is second to approve the grant for Tri-County. Any discussion?
Did you say you scratched the pressure washing off of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, they spent enough money to cover it anyhow. Maybe to cover the
Fire, you
grant.
still got the $5,000, okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, those ones aren't cheap either. Okay, any other discussion? Roll call.
Grisanti,
Yes.
Candy Davis.
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Paul Davis.
Yes.
Burdick.
Yes.
Kribel.
The next one is an exterior improvement grant for Tri-County. And 112 North End, I think it's 5 windows now, wasn't it on that one?
Correct.
Replace 5 windows and the tree removal was scratched on that for
Yeah.
another $5,000 grant.
Yeah. I make a motion that we grant the $5,000 for the exterior improvement of the Tri-County Community Center for 5 windows.
I'll second.
Motion and second to approve the grant for Tri-County. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Grisanti,
Oh.
Oh.
Question?
Did I miss something? Are we on number 3?
Yeah.
This is Henry Street?
Oh, the wrong address.
Yes, we do.
that's a typo.
That was a good test, Paul. They want to make sure you're paying attention.
Trying to go, Henry Street, right?
Well, they're right on the redevelopment, agenda, so.
Funny thing is, you said Swift, didn't you?
Same thing.
You said Swift.
So yes.
Okay. I wasn't sure if everyone was done. Kribel,
Yes.
Candy Davis.
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Paul Davis.
Yes.
Burdick.
Yes.
Motion passes. Then we have one more for downtown tree improvement grant for Tri-County at 112 North Swift Street, to relocate electrical for $3,000 out of a $29,000 project.
I make a motion to grant the downtown interior improvement grant to Tri-County Community Center to relocate their main electrical distribution panel for $3,000.
I'll second.
Motion and second to approve the downtown interior grant. Any discussion?
How's that grant fund, the amount of money we have in there? How do we look?
Of the 50,000,
50,000.
that's 50 before this.
Before this.
37 now?
Yes, perfect, thank you.
Anyone else? Roll call.
Grisanti,
Yes.
Kribel,
Yes.
Candy Davis.
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Paul Davis.
Yes.
Burdick.
Yes.
Motion passes. That was about all we had to bring forward. Public Works.
Public Works met earlier today, and the first thing I'd like to do is introduce Zach Nelson, who took the liberty of introducing himself to me last week after the meeting. Appreciate it, Jack. The committee, under Zach's advice, along with Bill Betzig, I know that some of you have the memo in there. Authorized staff to seek bids for the mill and overlay for Rock River Road 51 to, or 59 to Diane Drive. And we went with Betzig's guess of one, or recommendation of 1.5-inch mill and a 2-inch overlay. And it's gonna come in right about the guesstimates Zach used from last year's project, 2024's projects. In between 53 and 60,000, and we had already set aside 54, so we're pretty close to that. But he's gonna authorize we're gonna authorize the staff to take the bids, see how it comes back. And he got the new truck, and we had the discussion on last time that Kurt took out for a ride. That came in, we got it all fixed up and signed and everything is good, and got rid of the dump truck, right? No, you repaired the dump truck, my bad.
Yeah.
I replaced, I gotta replace you replace some sensors on the dump trucks, but it's back and running.
Yep.
But, and that was about pretty much about it, I think. Do we have anything else that? No, I don't think we got, right? That's about it.
Thank you. Personnel.
Personnel met this evening at 6:40. And they had approved, personnel committee approved the promotion of Brad Oswald. He's current wastewater operator. We promoted him to the vacant lead operator position at the wastewater treatment plant.
Right, thank you.
And that's it.
Okay, the next item is consider second reading and adoption of city record ordinance 2501. Ordinance to amend chapter 4442, review and approval of exterior land division, section 442-29. 82 of the Edgerton Code of General Ordinances, City of Edgerton, Rock and Dane Companies, Wisconsin.
So moved.
Second. A motion and a second to approve the second reading and adopt the City of Edgerton Ordinance 2501. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Andy Davis,
Yes.
Burdick,
Yes.
Paul Davis,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Grisanti,
Yes.
Kribel,
Yes. Motion passes. And the next one is to consider second reading and adoption of City of Edgerton Ordinance 2502, ordinance to amend section 450-20 official zoning map of the Edgerton Code of Zoning Ordinances for 0.54 acres located west of Diane Drive, City of Edgerton, Rock and Dane Counties, Wisconsin.
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second to approve the second reading and adoption of Edgerton Ordinance 2502. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Burdick,
Yes.
Paul Davis,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Andy Davis,
Yes.
Grisanti,
Yes.
Kribel,
Yes. Motion passes. Mayor, all the person and staff reports, want to bring up the next Sunday now? We'll let everybody know again.
The pancake
Oh,
breakfast
yeah, that one, yeah.
Super Bowl morning this Sunday, from 8 to noon, and it's $10 all you can eat. And there's also Bloody Marys there with alcohol. And,
Oh, it's just.
Johnsonville in Fort Atkinson usually donates their meats for us. And then we get, I believe, the pancake mix from you guys, yeah. So,
The mix or the.
Could be.
Oh, really? Wow, very nice. And this is for,
Lions,
Limestone.
and then, this monies we, raise go towards the 3rd of July fireworks that we pay for, yeah.
It's Jones sauce.
Yeah, Jones.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
just Sean.
They're always pretty
It
good.
starts with a J.
Yeah.
I don't have anything. Does anybody else have anything?
Just that Chamber of Commerce held their annual trivia contest last Saturday. Sure he is alive and well in Edgerton, so we had a, I don't know about a packed house, but, quite a few really good, really good showings, so. They're still plugging along, and that's a great thing every year, and if you haven't participated before, I strongly suggest it, because all that money is put to very good use.
And I understand everybody knew the question, who is the mayor of Edgerton, so. They actually have that question.
Yes, I know they did. I was hoping he'd be there to take a bow.
It was, you guys did a good job, you're a good job.
Yeah, my brother, Red and, Leanne Campbell did the questions, but,
And you,
that's all, I mean, the majority of it is a lot of work from the chamber.
Yeah.
And that's, so they, there's a lot of behind the scenes work, and it's a good outing, so.
Anyone else? What's next? Motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
And for the second to adjourn, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you, adjourned. Thank you. That's what I need to do. Get distracted. You'll still be there if you get money.
Yeah.
How's, Red?